CCP raises unification again. Netizens hotly discuss neither father nor son will join the battle comments. She faces 5 major defeats. Threats emerge from Zhongnanhai. CCP cracks down on spies among military buffs. Could Little Pinks be next? It's all covered in today's China Truths. CCP raises unification again. Netizens hotly discuss neither father nor son will join the battle comments. Recently, the statement "I don't owe the government anything, so if war breaks out, neither my son nor I will fight" has resurfaced on Chinese social media, resonating widely among users. In the context of the CCP's significant meetings on March 6, Xi Jinping highlighted the push for building forces against independence and for reunification, aiming for a peaceful reunion with Taiwan. This comes after directives to the military to prepare for a potential forceful reunification by 2027, showcasing the CCP's vocal reunification agenda. This sentiment's resurgence highlights widespread public grievances, which stem mainly from 3 areas. Firstly, the complexity of modern warfare requires high-tech expertise, leaving many feeling unqualified and frustrated by the disparity in treatment between urban and rural residents. This long-standing frustration is reaching a boiling point. Secondly, financial burdens like loans and credit cards pose questions about what happens during war times. If repayments can't be made, could you be sued? The recent pandemic has already stretched finances thin, leading to loan defaults, lawsuits, and even foreclosures, erasing lifetimes of savings. What then? Thirdly, the stark differences in treatment based on household registration in China amplify the struggles of everyday life, with many living in debt and paycheck to paycheck. A popular online post recently highlighted that we, the common people, are forgotten in times of peace and only remembered when there's a war. They talk about national duty when trouble arises, but when it comes to distributing benefits or fair treatment, we're left out. We don't owe the government, our only debts are to our parents. Netizens have also been sharing an interview video from a few years back. In March 2017, the South Korean Defense Ministry announced the arrival of part of the U.S. THAAD, Theater High Altitude Area Defense, system at Osan Air Base, intended for U.S. forces in Korea. South Korea swiftly planned the THAAD deployment in Sangju, expecting it to be operational within 1 to 2 months, possibly by April. The CCP expressed dissatisfaction with the deployment, stating it would take necessary measures to protect its security. This move escalated tensions between China and South Korea, amplifying war rhetoric. Amidst this, a mainland reporter asked a migrant worker if they'd be willing to serve on the front lines in the event of a war with China. The migrant worker questioned, "Are there household registration restrictions for serving on the front lines? Does it matter if you have a rural registration? Are those from major cities like Beijing or Shanghai called to battle first? Is a temporary residency needed? What about employment, health, or family planning certifications? Must you prove you've paid taxes for over a year? Are there specific educational or tax payment proofs required? Can non-party members serve? I don't represent any elite group, I'm just a migrant worker. Can I still serve? If I'm killed, is compensation equal for everyone? In the heat of battle, do we divide forces by odd and even numbers? Is there a lottery system for who charges first? How quickly can you get selected? Moreover, if deployed, can I position myself behind city enforcement and demolition teams? If I sacrifice myself, will my children have the same college admission standards as those from Beijing? If so, I'm ready to be the first on the front lines. The worker's reply left the journalist at a loss for words. Viewers of this video commented that the migrant worker's response captured the sentiments of many. She faces 5 major defeats. Threats emerge from Zhongnanhai. It might come as a surprise to many that Xi Jinping, seemingly powerful, has quickly found himself isolated. This bleak reality was starkly highlighted during this year's 2 sessions, marked by 3 jaw-dropping events that shocked observers and exposed a deep crisis of legitimacy for the CCP. The first shocker was the abrupt cancellation of the Premier's press conference, catching members of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC, and the U.S. ambassador, Xia Feng, off guard, leading him to comment, "This is the first time I've heard of this." This move led major global media and financial bodies to conclude that the era of CCP reform and openness is over, regressing to a period of deliberate mystique reminiscent of Mao's reign. This spells only further decline for the business climate, with Li Chang seemingly left to bear the brunt. Such critiques signal a bleak outlook for foreign investment, casting the CCP as an unreliable and abnormal governing body. Goldman Sachs executives have even bluntly advised against investing in China. Recent episodes, such as a Chinese engineer stealing Google's AI secrets and the discovery of modems on Chinese cranes in U.S. ports for remote internet access, promise to exacerbate these concerns. The second shocker came on March 6, with a foreign reporter questioning the feasibility of the CCP's economic goals and its plans to tackle local debt and market instability. Xing Shajie, head of the National Development and Reform Commission, took half an hour to respond, citing last year's economic figures and outlining measures to spur growth, including equipment upgrades and incentives for exchanging old consumer goods for new, alongside issuing super-long bonds. Yet, this response only seemed to deepen skepticism. The third shocker was Foreign Minister Wang Yi's criticism not just of Taiwan's government but also of the U.S. for its evolving strategies against the CCP and the EU's conflicting labels for China as a partner, competitor, and systemic rival, muddying the waters for China-EU relations. He likened it to a car at a crossroads with all traffic lights on. How can it proceed? At a crucial time when the CCP seeks further investment and better international ties, Wang Yi's defiance suggests the CCP has given up hope of mending fences with the U.S., convinced that the divide in economic, technological, systemic, and political areas has become too vast, only worsening over time. She faces 5 consecutive Waterloos. Greatest threat emerges from within the party. Waterloo signifies major defeats, inspired by Napoleon Bonaparte's decisive loss at the 1815 Battle of Waterloo, marking the end of his reign and military career. The term now metaphorically represents a conclusive defeat. Back to the main topic, these major shockers suggest Xi Jinping is deeply aware of a looming existential collapse for the Communist Party. This awareness is underscored by the CCP's announcement at the 2 sessions to hike military spending by 7.2%. Is this budget boost just for showing on the international stage? Obviously not, considering the CCP's finance ministry highlighted the imperative to tightly manage general spending while prioritizing defense and paramilitary funding. What's the implication of increasing funds for the paramilitary? Despite being financed by the sweat of the populace, the paramilitary is deployed for domestic control, adhering to the party's directives and ensuring victory, essentially serving as the regime's enforcers against its own people. Yet, some might question, isn't this overstating the case? Just a year back, at the 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping purged competing factions, aligning the 7 standing committee members with his vision. So, why the emergence of widespread crises now? What's causing Xi's growing fear? First off, it's critical to grasp that dictators' greatest fear isn't about how much power they hold but when those beneath and beyond their reach cease to fear them, disregarding their authority. This breeds internal challenges and dissent, swiftly leading to their downfall. So, what exactly did Xi Jinping do that eroded trust from within and beyond his circle? According to commentator Qin Peng from Qin Peng Observation, there are 5 significant Waterloos, leading those in the CCP to pay lip service while harboring deep contempt for him privately. If turmoil arises or Xi Jinping's health falters, his inner circle is poised to take their chance to usurp him. The first Waterloo occurred during the 20th Party Congress, where Xi Jinping single-handedly shattered the trust elites had in him. The incident where Xi had Hu Jintao escorted out of the meeting by guards sent shockwaves around the globe. Although it silenced dissenters on the surface, those close to the inner echelons confided in Mr. Qin in their utter shock, condemning Xi as ungrateful and cold-hearted. If Xi could cast aside his mentor, Hu Jintao, like a disposable cloth once he's served his purpose, then nobody's position is safe. How could anyone not fear a grim end? Furthermore, this act served as a grim lesson to Xi's followers. For the sake of power, betrayal is fair game, even against Xi himself. The Second Waterloo showcased Xi Jinping's blatant incompetence. Dictators often undertake bold feats to deter potential rivals, emulating Mao Zedong and Putin's displays of extraordinary prowess or adventurous stunts, achieving the impossible. Xi once appeared formidable, especially in the early years of the pandemic, as he let the virus wreak havoc globally while China ostensibly thrived under stringent lockdowns. He boldly declared a shift in global power dynamics and didn't flinch at shutting down Shanghai entirely. Yet, Mr. Qin said that he's repeatedly stated since the emergence of the Omicron variant, Xi's strategies ultimately led to a spectacular failure. During the abrupt lifting of restrictions, the entire nation was in a life-or-death struggle, including privileged officials and their progeny. Wouldn't they harbor resentment towards him? Despite Xi's reassurance that the ability to ease or enforce control will demonstrate skill, it became apparent to all that he was incompetent. The Third Waterloo was the economic recovery crash of 2023. Following the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989, economic growth became the CCP's main claim to legitimacy and a major reason the international community somewhat tolerated its regime. After 3 years of lockdowns, Xi Jinping fantasized that lifting restrictions would instantly bring back foreign investment and consumer spending, triggering a surge in growth and consumption. Reality hit hard, though. As predicted last April, a deflationary spiral kicked in, marking the end of China's economic heyday, now more apparent than ever. This downturn has severe repercussions. Not only has it deepened public disillusionment, with countless netizens venting under official media posts or even flooded the U.S. Embassy's Weibo posts about giraffes, but it has also eroded the trust of CCP elites and private entrepreneurs in Xi Jinping. They once backed or put up with Xi, thinking he'd safeguard their interests. Now, they see him as their foremost adversary. Xi's fourth Waterloo came with the betrayal by his trusted allies. Last year saw the purge of Qin Gang, Li Shangfu, and several Rocket Army generals Xi had handpicked, casting a long shadow over his leadership. This problem is extremely critical because if the very people you elevated betray you, it not only demonstrates your poor judgment and leadership but also indicates that no one genuinely has your back, hinting that your downfall is imminent. Although the Cultural Revolution is said to have concluded in 1976, it essentially met its end in 1971, with the official acknowledgement coming 5 years later. That year saw one of Mao Zedong's trusted allies, Lin Biao, make a disastrous attempt to escape, dealing a heavy blow to Mao Zedong. This anxiety led Mao to spend his final days in a state of panic, often recounting the tale of Zhou Bo and Liu to seasoned military leaders like Yi Jianying. He meant that they should handle his wife, Jiang Qing, and her circle after he passed away, making sure not to implicate him. His deep-seated fear was unmistakably evident. Xi's fifth Waterloo was his complete botch of foreign policy. His approach to the U.S. turned laughable, his hostile strategies inadvertently rallied neighbors into becoming U.S. allies, and his partnership with Putin in the Russia-Ukraine conflict mired down, estranging Europe and debunking China's military bluffs as the world witnessed the real combat prowess of China's armament ancestor, Russia. As China's economy takes a nosedive, and the Chinese Communist Party tries to offload its problems onto other countries by massively dumping products overseas, it's becoming more obvious that the world is starting to band together against the CCP. This means the pressure on the CCP is only going to increase. We all know that when the heat is on, the pressure doesn't just stay put, it spreads, and often, it's the internal cracks that cause the whole structure to collapse. CCP cracks down on spies among military buffs. Could Little Pinks be next? On March 7, China's Ministry of State Security, MSS, warned on their WeChat account that China's military enthusiasts are dangerously close to espionage, emphasizing their deep dive into collecting and disseminating sensitive military info across personal, social media, and forum platforms. This behavior, the MSS argues, risks spreading military secrets wide open. The risks are categorized into guiding, handing over the knife, and being inside collaborators. These enthusiasts, many identified as nationalistic little pinks, are pivotal in amplifying the CCP's military image through their active engagement in spreading military information. Their activities have filled Chinese social media with detailed discussions and analyses of military equipment, notably the Fujian aircraft carrier and the potential sighting of the J-35 on the Liaoning carrier. This MSS spotlight on military buffs, as Mark's Spacetime host Mark observes, reflects the agency's expanding authority. Post the 20th CCP National Congress, with Chennison's appointment, the MSS's grip has tightened, extending its surveillance to economic data dissemination and enforcing a new espionage law to strengthen societal control through a heavy-handed security approach. A prior warning on December 23, 2023, underscored the seriousness of leaking information on new military technologies, with violations potentially leading to severe prison sentences. The focus is on China's latest military advancements, including the third aircraft carrier Fujian, the elusive H-20 bomber, and the J-35, alongside future naval projects. Mark draws a parallel to the Cold War, when the Soviet Union's secrecy led the West to overestimate the capabilities of the MiG-25, a misconception cleared only after a defection revealed its true performance, showcasing the West's technological superiority. Similarly, the CCP aims to mislead the West into overestimating its military and technological advancements, despite being technologically outpaced, hoping to maintain an illusion of superiority. Li Jinping, a former Beijing lawyer and now chair of the Canadian Federation for a Democratic China, explains, Xi Jinping uses this strategy to scare the West into staying out of confrontations with the CCP, urging them to compromise on issues in the Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, and East China Sea to avoid military conflicts with the CCP. He highlights the CCP's frequent cautions to military enthusiasts as stemming from their fear of secret exposures, which, if kept, offer a sense of security. Revealing these secrets could undermine any preemptive military strategies due to increased vulnerability. Flaunting the CCP's military prowess has been a badge of patriotism for little pinks, yet now they risk being labeled as spies by the CCP for their activities, complicating the operation of related self-media platforms. Mark observes the CCP's indifferent attitude towards little pinks, only leveraging their nationalistic fervor when beneficial. He warns that sharing sensitive military information can transform these individuals into expendable assets, likening them to leaks ready for harvesting, with the CCP fostering an environment of mutual suspicion and use among them. He notes the growing paranoia within the CCP about regime security, turning innocent hobbies or self-media endeavors into potential hazards for inadvertently leaking sensitive information. This atmosphere of heightened sensitivity and arbitrary definitions of espionage is expected to ensnare more individuals unwittingly. Li Jinping adds that the CCP's recent oppressive actions and prolonged draconian lockdowns have been eye-opening for many little pinks, leading to a gradual realization of the CCP's true, inhumane nature. The ongoing crackdown on military enthusiasts might just push them to reevaluate and potentially turn against the regime, marking a slow but significant shift in perception towards the true nature of this regime. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.